what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was standing, you were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. We could live for 1,000 years, but if I hurt you, I make wine from your tears. I told you that we could fly, 'cause we all have wings, but some of us don't know why. I was standing, you were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never, ever tear us apart. I was standing, you were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. You were standing, I was there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. I was standing.
Please be seated. Whoops. You okay? Good afternoon, family and friends. My name is Margie Rankin. I have the privilege to lead the service today for Andrew Scott AITKEN. And so I welcome you all here and welcome all those viewing via the live stream as we have all come together to celebrate Andrew's life, a life taken far too soon. On behalf of Sean Hamilton, his staff and myself, and Carrie Frith, who was to officiate today's service, however unable to do so due to an accident over the weekend, we offer our sincerest condolences for your loss. To Andrew's wife, Nikki, his children, Will, Tom and Charlotte, his parents, Lindsay and Margaret, sisters and brothers-in-law, Francine and Rob, Danielle, who is deceased, and her husband Rob, and Rachel and Josh. Also to Nikki's family, who thought the world of Andrew and his nieces and nephews. We cannot forget his many friends and colleagues who will be feeling the loss of their friend also. Please accept our condolences for your loss. I would now like to invite Andrew's daughter Charlotte to come forward to read a special poem for her dad. Charlotte will be supported by her brothers Will and Tom and will share with us He Is Gone by David Hawkins.
You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he's lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see that all he's left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or can be full of love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want, smile, open your eyes, love and go on.
Dear Dad, there's so much I could say about you. Some of it appropriate, a lot of it probably not. What I do know is that you want me to keep it pretty short so we can get stuck into the bar tab sooner rather than later. Dad, your sense of humour definitely pushed boundaries, but you always managed to get a smile on people's faces, and especially mine. There are countless moments I'd love to relive with you, but as your great mate Mitch said, he finds comfort in knowing he'll see you again one day. I couldn't agree more. Your ability to live life exactly how you wanted, without fear of judgment, is something we all strive for. Your confidence had a far greater impact than you'll ever know on those around you, and especially on Will, Charlotte, Mum, and myself. Your great mate and brother-in-law, Rob Keeling, sums you up perfectly. Everyone loved him. Andrew AITKEN was one of my most favourite people. He gave me a reason to look forward to things. A simple phone call with a stupid conversation could help a week pass without too much stress. I don't think I'll ever laugh the same way I did as listening to or taking part in those stupid conversations. Will, Pop, Roger, Rob, the bum chums, Mitch, just to name a few. And I'm sure everyone here today has their own story, a stupid conversation that has had them or someone near them in stitches. I want to thank everyone for being here today to honour the absolute legend that Dad was. The messages of love and support have been overwhelming, a true reflection of how loved and adored he was. I never thought I'd say this, but there's nothing I wouldn't give to hear about his 201 not out at Johnson Reserve again for the 300th time. Or to hear him call me Rainbow Warrior as I run into Bowl and Riverside 4. Or to see him run over another tree at Belmore Park. Or just to see him sink that last putt on the 18th to beat me and carry on like he'd won the green jacket. He was pretty good at the carry-on, that's for sure. Dad, you were one of a kind, a legend, a champion, and without question, my hero. Your legacy will live on for generations. Love you, Dad.
Legend, Weapon, Andrew. These are just a few of the names I had for Dad. The rest, well, probably not ones I should use with kids around. But the one I used the most was Andrew. I thought it was especially funny because a mate of his, Andrew Richards, once told me it was disrespectful to call your dad by his first name. But for me, calling him Andrew felt natural, because he wasn't just my dad, he was my best mate. We gave each other endless crap, commonly regarding our poor performances on the golf course, and I shared with him things no one else knows to this day. Whenever I had troubles, he and Tommy were the boys I could always go to. He was a unique man, that's the best way I can put it. His sense of humour was incredible. Even when his jokes seemed inappropriate, he could light up a room with laughter and joy. That's why, since his passing, we still joke about him and how bald he was. I think that's what he would have wanted. And although I loved calling him old, the truth is he's left us far too young. Still, he lived a life most people would envy. He travelled the world, played endless rounds of golf, went on trips with his mates, and spent an incredible amount of time with family. He helped me through difficult times in his own special way. When I was diagnosed with epilepsy, he gave me the nickname Weppo, short for my previous nickname Weapon, alongside epileptic. And whenever I hit a bad shot on the golf course, it became known to him and others as a Weppo moment. That was Andrew, always turning things into a laugh, even the hard stuff. People often tell me how similar I am to Andrew. When he was around, I used to enjoy acting very offended. But the truth is, throughout my whole life, he's been the only person I've ever wanted to be like. If I can live even half the life he did, with his humour, his love for people, his confidence and his spirit, I'll be proud. I love you, Andrew. Cheers.
Thank you, Charlotte, Tom and Will. I now have the pleasure to invite Andrew's father, Lindsay, to come forward to give a tribute to his son.
I've asked our eldest daughter Francine and our youngest Rachel to be here just in case. The first thing I should do is probably offer an apology for Andrew. There are many of you here today who probably were offended by some things he said to you or some joke he told you. For the others, you obviously didn't meet him. I can't find the thing. I can't find my. I can't find my. No. It's in the cake. Here it is. Andrew would have laughed. Andrew was born on the 28th of November 1972, the younger brother of Francine and the older brother of Danielle, who is since deceased, and Rachel. He passed away peacefully on the 6th of August 2025. His mother, Margaret, and I were brought up as Catholics. We were told at school that God gives us the gift of life and leads us to eternal life. We believe that is what he experiences now. After losing 2 children within 4 years, our faith is tested. If losing Danielle and now Andrew is a challenge from God, I give in, you win. Andrew's initial role in life was to terrorise his sisters and make his youngest siblings as miserable as possible. He did a great job. Andrew was a talented sportsman with ball sports, particularly cricket, golf, AFL, soccer and tennis. He loved his recent conversion to pickleball with brothers-in-law Roger and Rob. I recall kicking a ball with him in our backyard for 30 minutes or more on a regular basis and rarely having to take a step to the left or right to catch the ball. He had incredible skills with his feet. Andrew had some close shaves in his young life. I am reminded of an overnight stay at a motel in Murrurundi, of all places, after a long day at work in Sydney. Andrew decided as a 2-year-old it would be a great idea to drop a heavy glass ashtray on his sleeping father's head. He was rescued by his mother, not for the only time in his life, by a trip to a local park. His mother supplied the gentle side that so many of you may have experienced. Andrew played soccer, cricket and Aussie rules during his early years, and on occasions these things were interrupted by school. He scored the most goals in a season as a 6-year-old. A teammate who was challenging for the honour was the main challenger and made a break for about 30 metres and was just about to kick a goal. Andrew, as a good team man, rushed over, pushed him out of the road and kicked the goal and won the game. Why share the glory? I understand there are approximately 8 billion people in the world. He told approximately half of them about the scoring 201 runs, not out, in an under-10s cricket match semi-final with a total team score of 269. I don't think he mentioned to anybody that I was the umpire. It is not surprising that Andrew chose to leave the world at 52, the same age as Shane Warne. We travelled overseas on many occasions when the children were young, and we recall a trip going through Europe on one occasion with a bus full of Americans, many of whom were in their 60s and 70s. Our 4 young children were popular entertainment. One of the Americans made the mistake of asking a 15-year-old Andrew to explain cricket to them. He promptly went to the front of the bus, borrowed a microphone and succinctly explained, "You have two sides, one out in the field and one in. Each man that's in, the side that's in, goes out. And when he's out, he comes in. And the next man goes in until he's out. When they are all out, the side that is out comes in. And the side that is in goes out and tries to get those coming in out. Sometimes you get men still in and not out. When a man goes out to go in, the men who are out try to get him out, and when he is out, he goes in, and the next man goes out and goes in. There are two men called umpires who stay out all the time, and they decide when the men who are in go out." The beauty of this simple explanation is that Americans rarely ask you to provide any further detail. Andrew and I shared many competitive tennis and golf days until he gained the upper hand. Wasn't so much fun then. Neither of us was a gracious loser. I may have mentioned on more than one occasion that his father and his mother and his eldest son have each had holes in one. He has not had one. He was immensely proud of each of his children, and Charlotte's stinky pinkies were particularly close to his heart. He played cricket and golf with Will and Tom, and the competition was fierce. With all the testosterone in the AITKEN family, Charlotte was always the favourite. Any young man she introduced will be cross-examined, so be prepared. There was a time when Andrew was passed by his younger son, Tom. I doubt that the words, "Well done, son," were heard at that point in time. It had not been a surprise to us when Andrew left school and excelled near the top of the class. He wasn't a great student at school. While studying for a business degree, and he became a chartered accountant. Our little boy had become a man. We were both extraordinarily impressed and proud of the hard work he put in to achieve his goal. It was to win, or was it to win the girl? Nikki, that would have been. He had no interest in accounting, but rather after a stint at Bankers Trust, where he met Nikki, the love of his life, he discovered a career in investment banking was for him. People would ask me what he did, and rarely could I give a sensible comment. Suffice to say, he was widely known and respected in the industry of wealth management. Andrew loved people. His mum and I have been gratified by the number of stories from people he and Nikki had supported in times of need. He had a wonderful heart, and the bluster on the outside surrounded a generous spirit within. Unfortunately, it was not strong enough to withstand the latest attack. The AITKENs and the Taylors will always share a common love and respect. We could not ask for a more beautiful and loving daughter-in-law and 4 wonderful grandchildren, Will, Tom, Charlotte and baby Jack. We all have regrets. Did we speak often enough? Did we say we love you often enough? But to this we say, have no regrets. Andrew had none. He loved his life and he loved his family. During the last months, our 6 grandchildren have come in very thankful for their thoughtfulness, and we are very thankful for their thoughtfulness. I am disappointed that Andrew will not experience the extraordinary gift of grandchildren. He would have been a terrible grandfather. Showering them with gifts, telling bad jokes and spoiling them rotten. Several weeks before the terrible call from Nikki, we had a get-together at our daughter Francine's house. The adults sat at the dining room table solving the problems of the world, and the kids, including Andrew in the middle, sat probably discussing how to create more problems for the elder generation. Margaret will miss the almost weekly telephone calls from varying parts of the world asking how she was going. It was my father's dying instruction to me and was passed on to our children to ring their mother at least once a week and tell them how you love her. Margaret smiled as she spoke to him and probably heard another stupid joke was worth the world to her. One final story I was reminded of by Margaret's brother John. Not sure if I should thank him or not. In 1995, Margaret and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. We had about 50 relatives, friends and work contacts, my mother and Margaret's parents. Andrew spoke about the love and respect he had for us, and particularly me, his father, who had recently stopped being a drug mule. And that's true, I am no longer a drug mule. That was Andrew. I did not love him every day of his life, but I miss him now and wish he was still here. I suspect he is on the first tee at heaven laughing at all this carry-on. Drive him straight and drive him long, dearest son. I was relying on Andrew to be in charge of all the inappropriate jokes at my funeral. Will and Tom, you need to step up. Hang on.
You want to get down? Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Francine, or Sabby as Andrew used to call me when he couldn't pronounce my name. I'm 18 months older than him. We grew up with wonderful parents surrounded by 4 grandparents, lots of aunts and uncles, and Andrew and I were the oldest of 20 cousins. Obviously the girls turned out fabulous. Andrew, the boys, they're mediocre, but they're getting better. And we love you all. Thank you, cousins, for all your support through this. Andrew and I did all the normal kids things in the mid-70s, climbing trees, jumping from neighbours' yards to the next neighbour's yard, riding bikes and billy carts, coming home with nosebleeds and grazed toes, especially Andrew's size 13 toes. And we were patched up and sent back out to do it all again. You might think having 3 sisters meant Andrew spent his childhood playing dolls and shops, but no. More often than not, we were roped into playing cricket or soccer with him. Funny how he always managed to be the one holding the bat while we were chasing the ball. He always had a way of convincing us that this would be the game what we'd like to do. When Andrew finished university and started working in the city, we'd catch the train together. That's probably when we became closer. Some mornings he'd be nursing a hangover, never myself, always Andrew. So I'd turn up at Chifley Square where he was working for Bankers Trust at the time, and would bring him up a chocolate milk to help him get through the day and that poor hangover. We'd meet up there for lunch. Again, I would have to go to him. He never came but down to me in bottom of Hunter Street. Eventually I was replaced when he met fellow accountant Nikki, and they hit it off instantly, and before long Nikki was off to work and travel in the UK, so she said. But however, 5 months later he followed her, and then they had a time of their lives. I remember one time before he left for London, it was the middle of winter, and we were walking along Macquarie Street to work, and he was just wearing his shirt, and I had my big overcoat, it was freezing. And he said, I said to him, "Why aren't you wearing your jacket?" And he said, "Oh, I'm trying to climatise for the UK." So there was some strange things. Here's some other little fun facts about Andrew. When he was younger, he didn't want to go to school one day, and so he thought it might be clever to put strawberry jam on his skin and some Band-Aids, and thought Mum would fall for that, but he went to school. We also, one Christmas, we used to give each other little gifts, and there was 3 little boxes like that under the Christmas tree wrapped in newspaper. And next thing, Andrew was handing them out to us 3 girls, and we opened them up, and they were Franklin's tape cassettes. He'd recorded songs off the radio for us, and these were tape cassettes that Mum used to buy for us all the time. So he had a kind heart most of the time. Okay. A year after he left to the UK, I followed and ended up living with Andrew and Nikki on their couch for about 2 months before he evicted me to Nikki's sister Joanne and her now husband Roger's place in the same complex. It was 1999, just before Y2K, and I was single, not earning much as a personal assistant, while Andrew loved reminding me of his big Y2K salary, his gorgeous girlfriend and his great flat in Rotherhithe. It was just one of those banters he had, It's just, you all know how he is. He was like that with his family as well, with us girls. And Andrew and Nikki included me on their trips around Europe, introduced me to friends who are still in their lives today. I think I saw some people here today. When they returned to Sydney, I stayed on for another year later and met my Rob, and we came back for Andrew and Nikki's wedding in October 2000, nearly 20, just short of 25 years. Andrew had a big personality. He loved long business lunches, golf days, travels, and all the networking that came with his distribution and marketing work in Sydney. So it surprised us all when in 2016 he and Nikki moved to Tamworth, and he absolutely loved this quiet life, the community, and especially not having to come to Sydney. Thankfully, the Taylors and Aitkens blended into one big family, and we've enjoyed lots of Tamworth and Port Macquarie holidays together. When we lost Danielle in December 2021, Andrew was a huge support, especially to me. We'd talk all the time, reminiscing, laughing, and yes, talking a lot of nonsense. He had the gift of making me laugh while still being a pain in the bum. I could go on for hours and hours about Andrew, but I'm sure you get it. He was special and sometimes out of your comfort zone. But how he was with each of... I've already said that. He was, he thought of anyone... he hated the thought of anyone not liking him, especially if he had gone overboard with Collingwood winning, beating the Swans or Penrith Panthers, winning another grand final. But he would pester you until you loved him again. Isn't that right, Lily? All my family will deeply miss him and the nicknames he had for each of them. We know he wasn't ready to go. He was having the best time of his life, and he loved Nikki, Will, Tom and Charlotte so much. But God had other plans. Andrew, I love you. And I know it's going to be hard, but try not to annoy Danielle too much up there.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel, Andrew's younger sister. Well, Andrew spent most of my life telling me how important and popular he was. And as I look around at all of you here today, I have to admit, I'm pretty bloody annoyed. It took me a little while to decide whether to speak today. It's clear Andrew and Franny had a very close bond. They were very close in age and were mum and dad's first lessons in parenthood. But as I thought about the beautiful things that Franny would say, I felt compelled to speak for both myself and our late sister Danielle. You can call us Andrew's original crash test dummies. In fact, some of you may recognise yourselves in some of these stories. Maybe you're a younger cousin, Claire, if you're listening, who he convinced to run straight at him in our lounge room only for him to step aside at the very last minute so you headbutted the wall. Don't worry, he tried that trick on me first. This was, of course, before we understood what CTE was. Maybe you're a mate and he insisted you should be impressed when he was picked up from golf or dropped off at the pub in a helicopter, convinced he was famous. He tried that rubbish on me too. Once at Sydney Airport, on the way home from one of the overseas family holidays, he told me all the photographers that were there for him because he looked so much like Tom Cruise in his new leather jacket. Maybe you're one of his children who copped his unique wit when he christened your sports team the Stinky Pinkies. I see you, Charlotte. That's right, he tried his unique grasp of the English language on me first. He gave me the endearing nickname of Little Tomboy in front of all his cricket mates just because I liked a short, but I will say, incredibly fashionable short hairstyle. Hey Tommy, turns out I'm your namesake. But then again, I suspect many of you also knew the other side of Andrew. The one who would call often, sometimes more often than you called him. Sorry. Just to check in. He did that for each one of us, our whole family, after we lost Dan. Andrew, I wish I'd picked up the phone and called you more often to check how you were. I'll miss those calls more than you may have realised. As I've grown older, I've realised how much Andrew and I actually had in common. And no, Andrew, I'm not talking about our good looks. We both worked hard, something we learned from Mum and Dad. Now, just before the dealer and Benilde boys start heckling from the back, school maybe wasn't the best example. But in our careers, I can safely say we both poured ourselves in. And it's been clear from all the LinkedIn tributes, all the people here today, and even the Kudo board messages, how respected and admired he was in his field. Personally, I've always worked hard to learn from and respect leaders, to embrace diversity and inclusion policies in the workplace, and perhaps most importantly, to manage my alcohol consumption at work events. And Andrew, okay, maybe not the best comparison either. Let's just say we both gave it our all in our own ways. The irony is, Andrew would not have read a single book, listened to a podcast, or completed a course on leadership, yet he clearly embodied empathetic leadership. Again, so annoying. In more recent years, I was lucky to spend some special one-on-one time with him. In 2019, he came to visit me while I lived in Pennsylvania. And by visit me, I mean he thought it was a better idea for us to meet at his hotel bar in New York City. He was always an ideas guy. And then just last year, we met in Madrid when we both happened to be travelling for work through Europe. I mean, I did ask him to meet me in San Sebastian, but we ended up in Madrid because it's also some place that Andrew had not visited yet. I will forever treasure those nights, spent talking about our kids, Nikki and Josh, reminiscing about our childhood, sharing the things we loved about our siblings, all good things, and getting his unsolicited advice to worry less about my boys, work less, invest more, and oh yeah, we really should move to Tamworth. I gave Andrew a hard time often. I even joked at his wedding that Nikki should blink twice if she was being held against her will. But the truth is, now that he can't talk back, I absolutely adored him. He captivated every room he walked into. He built the most beautiful family. He was funny, successful, and most of all, he cared deeply. God, he would be loving this. To Nikki, Will, Tom, Charlotte, and forever baby Jack, he loved you more than anything and quite frankly couldn't believe how lucky he was to have you. We promise to hold you close, to remind you of that love every chance we get, and if you ever need a dose of his humour, we are very willing to ship pop-up. Mum, Dad and Frenny, I promise to call you every week just to check in and to make sure you know how extraordinary you've been as parents and our big sister. And Dad, your son-in-laws have happily taken up the responsibility to ring every time Manly loses. It's the least they can do. And to our darling sister Danielle, I ask for forgiveness, as I admit I had a little chuckle imagining your face when you realised Andrew was the first to join you. Walking through the door, arms wide open, and wearing that stupid grin. Good luck. Love you, Andrew. Our family and the world will not be the same without you. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, Francine and Rachel. Now Andrew's loving wife has written her thoughts for her husband, and so I invite you, Nikki, to come forward to deliver your tribute.
Andrew was smart, funny, loving, kind, generous, messy, usually running late, often inappropriate, and loved gossip. We wouldn't have wanted him any other way. I think he would have been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and support these past few weeks. I wish he could have seen how much he meant to so many people. Andrew and I first met when we were both working at Bankers Trust in Sydney. Believe it or not, he was the office clown. We were friends for some time before we started dating, and only a few months into our relationship, I left to go overseas on a planned working holiday. Andrew finished his accounting qualifications and followed a few months later. We spent an amazing couple of years living in London and travelling the world. Andrew proposed to me in Venice after ringing my dad for permission. Reverse charges. In 2000, we were married and settled back into Sydney life, living in Willoughby. In 2004, Will was born, one of the happiest days of Andrew's life, the day he became a father. Andrew's greatest loves and proudest achievements were always his kids. Will, Tom, Charlotte, and our precious Jack, who we devastatingly lost at just 3 weeks of age. He was super proud of them all. Andrew loved being with the kids and spending time with them whenever he could. He coached soccer and cricket teams for the boys and had his own style of coaching. He wanted to be the fun coach. When there wasn't enough parents to help out at cricket, he had been known to take his chair and scorebook out to square leg and umpire at the same time. He coached Charlotte's all-girls soccer team, which he affectionately named the Stinky Pinkies. I'm not sure he taught them many skills, but they had lots of fun. Andrew was thrilled that the boys shared his passion for sport, and especially cricket and golf. He loved that they were able to play cricket together for the Redbacks and were able to visit many amazing golf courses around the world. He was still hopeful that Charlotte and I might take up golf. He was also stoked that 2 of his kids supported his beloved Pies and Panthers. Andrew loved to watch Charlotte play netball or perform at Fizzy, but she often banned him from coming as she was worried he'd be too embarrassing. We all know he can't keep his mouth shut sometimes. Andrew made sure the kids had a grounded upbringing and was proud of their achievements. He had a special relationship with them all, and he cherished the fact that they could talk to him about anything. He loved that they all shared his quick wit and sense of humour. Andrew's job often meant travelling away from the family, which was hard. He sacrificed a lot to allow me to be a stay-at-home mum when the kids were little. And in recent years, when we were working together, I was still able to do so much with the kids. He provided a wonderful life for us. I'm so appreciative of this. I wish I'd told him more often. Whilst he travelled a lot for work, he loved to travel with family and friends, and we were able to go on many wonderful holidays. I'm grateful we were able to do this together. The majority of Andrew's working life was spent in the funds management industry, and he became well known for his intelligence, honesty, wit, humour, genuine care of others and their careers, and probably long lunches. He started out his career in accounting, but this was not him. Distribution was where he found his calling. Talking to people was his gift, and talk on the phone he did. On a summer's day, you could often find him in the pool with the phone glued to his ear. He began his career at Bankers Trust, followed by working for Credit Suisse, Aberdeen, IOOF, Ausbil, Bennelong and AGP. He was grateful to those that backed him and his business, Daruka Capital Partners, Totus, QVG, Vantage, plus many more. And to his business partner Cam, who he started Hamill and Verwood with, and partnerships with Australian Eagle, Wheelhouse and Artesian, to name a few. He was appreciative of all the opportunities. He should be proud of his achievements. I certainly am. Andrew made friends wherever he went. He had a lot of best friends. From his school and cricket days, work, mothers group families, through the kids' preschool, the kids' schools, SPN and Karossi, and various sporting clubs. He made friends, and some of these friends became connected through Andrew. He had a way of bringing people together. I think Andrew surprised a lot of people when he announced that he was moving to Tamworth. The city kid who years before never would have lived in the country was super excited about the move. He loved the space we had, the opportunities for the kids and the relaxed lifestyle. He was able to build his bigger than Ben-Hur shed, affectionately known as the Centre of Excellence, which was his office and gym, but also just happened to have a golf simulator in there. Andrew was happiest being at home and had become quite the chef with his latest obsession with air fryers. Everyone knows Andrew had no fashion sense, but nor did he care. From his favourite cardi, his hoodie, his super sun-safe outfits on the golf course, to his latest love of Shein clothing, no one will ever be quite able to match his style. On the morning he passed away, a package arrived from Shein with some new pickleball bats, but also some ridiculous bright red shoes. Neither of the boys are keen to claim them. I still can't fathom life without Andrew. We should have been celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary later this year. He's left a gaping hole in our lives that can never be filled. This is not the future we planned together, but I find some comfort in the fact he's reunited with Jack and Danielle. Our wonderful family and friends have helped us through this unimaginable time, and I'm so grateful. I'm not sure we would have made it here without you, so thank you. Thank you to Margaret and Lindsay for raising a wonderful son. We won't mention the letterbox incident. He knew he was lucky to have you as his parents. I remember before we got married, you said to me, "Once you marry him, he's yours. We're not taking him back." I know that's not true, and he'll always be your favourite son. Andrew loved that golf was a shared interest with you and meant he could spend more time with you. To Fran, Rachel and Danielle, your favourite brother really did love you, and all those years of torment was a sign of love. To my mum and dad, thank you for embracing your son-in-law's personality. I'm sure there were times you questioned my choice in husband. Andrew loved you both like his own parents, and Mum, he loved that you could play golf together and he could find out all the gossip from the golf club. To my sisters, Jo, Penny and Manda, Andrew loved you like sisters and annoyed you like only a brother could. To Andrew's brother-in-laws, Rob, Josh, Rog and John, Andrew grew up with 3 sisters and married into a family of 4 girls. He was very grateful to finally have brothers. To all his nieces and nephews, Andrew always told you he was the favourite uncle. He tried to be cool, it didn't always work. But he loved you all like his own kids. To Will, Tom and Charlotte, or as Dad called you, Wilbur, Tommy and Sharby, your dad loved you more than anything, and he was so proud of you. And to Andrew, thank you for choosing me and for the life we built together. The kids and I love you so much and we'll miss you forever.
Thank you, Nikki. And I think he did choose the right one. Nikki's parents have also prepared a tribute for their son-in-law, and so I invite Jenny and Jeff to come forward now.
Start.
Okay, have a go.
You right?
Actually, Nick just reminded me then about when Andrew phoned to see if it was okay to marry her or ask her. Excuse me. We got a phone message. In those days, it was operator phone, and we've got a reverse charge call from Nikki in Italy. Right, what, Italy? Yeah. What the hell's wrong? This is middle of the night, right? What the hell's wrong? And it was Andrew. Didn't want to pay for the call to ask us. Had another son-in-law who did the same thing. But no, it wasn't here. But we weren't at home, we were elsewhere, so he had to keep pretending that he was going to the toilet because he was with Joe at that time. Yeah.
Actually, can I just say something? We were on helping Nikki and Andrew move house, and we were on a blow-up bed on the floor. The phone kept ringing, and by the time we got there, it stopped. But that was Roger, and he was... and that's how that happened.
Okay. It was the end of 1996 that I happened to be in Sydney on business and caught up with Nick and asked her if she wanted to go out for dinner that night, but I got knocked back because she was going on a date. And that date turned out to develop into the romance that have led us here today. I'm surprised that it got this far because that date, first night, was going to the movies to see 101 Dalmatians. He really showed his style, so, you know. Okay, sorry, I can't even see.
There's no light.
Okay. Yep. Our first encounter with Andrew was when they came up for Country Music Week, and they came and stayed with us, which was fine. And at that stage, the service station down the Quick Stop at Nemmingar here, you could hire the billboard and put your own words on it, sort of thing. And so we got a message to say the next time you go to town, can you go the highway and have a look at the sign? And there was a sign saying, "Thank you, Jen, Jeff, Trevor."
No.
No, sorry. I'm going badly here.
Where are we? You've lost me now. Oh, yeah. The sign that day read, "Thank you, Jeff, Jen and Terry Taylor." We've no idea who Terry is.
Okay.
We think it was because we were coming, you know, we think it was for having them for the weekend, but I'm really not sure.
Okay. Okay, I can see now. We're right. Yeah. The romance blossomed from there, and siblings from both families had many adventures together, both here and overseas, where they lived there in London for 2 years and travelled around Europe making contacts with our friends in the UK and also meeting many new friends. Two of Andrew's sisters, Francine and Danielle, arrived home with English husbands, Paul, Rob.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you both get a mention. Got to talk well about the pommies, yeah. Okay, you go.
Andrew and Nikki returned home from the UK in 1999 and were married in Tamworth in October 2000. Andrew's sense of humour always prevailed, and at the wedding reception, in his speech, he said he hoped everybody had enjoyed the oysters and barramundi. We all got chicken and beef. They lived in Sydney, where their family grew, and in 2010 decided to move to Tamworth. We were all concerned about Andrew, you know, whether he would adapt to Tamworth, but we were delighted that they were moving to Tamworth. But Andrew took to country life, certainly embraced the life and joined in everywhere it was possible. Luckily, he was still able to have his fill of the city when he went for work. I will miss seeing and hearing Andrew across the fairways at the golf club. He would often shout out to me, and I felt so proud of him when he wore his black UV-proof leggings with a pair of shorts, long sleeves, and a hat that you couldn't really see who it was. And people would say to me, "Who is that?" I didn't really admit to it, but anyway. My last memory of him at the golf club was very recently when we were both playing in a fundraising day. And someone shouts out to Jenny, "Do you have any cash? $50 will do." Everybody went, "Who's that?" Anyway.
One thing we learned about Andrew at an early stage, and he warned us, is that don't tell Andrew anything you want to keep secret. Because it would very quickly become public knowledge. But he was quite happy to accept that. The other thing, Andrew had distinct liking for Colgan TVs, which you can see on view in their house. There are many of them. The other thing was he came really good at collecting air fryers, but he also became very good at using them. So it was one of his attributes.
Each Christmas, we always have a Kris Kringle, and where everyone picks out a name and you buy the present for that person. Andrew's history of gift giving was somewhat interesting. Amanda had received a candy G-string. Jeff had received incontinence pads.
And I'd still use them.
And last Christmas, I was lucky enough to have Andrew. I got a book on how to be a better mother-in-law. I don't think I've lived up to expectations. And he also told me that that wasn't what he really wanted to buy me, but nobody else would they wouldn't let him buy it for me, so the mind boggles. Andrew had a wonderful sense of humour, or you could say a wicked sense of humour as well. He also had a very generous and compassionate nature and was very inclusive of everyone. Wherever you went, he just got on with everybody. Margaret and Lindsay, you should be so proud of the son you raised. Our whole family will miss him incredibly, but of course none more than Nikki will, Tom and Charlotte. He has left a wonderful legacy, excuse me, and this will live on through his children, who already have some of his traits, especially his sense of humour. Andrew, rest in peace. Know that you have left the world and in a better place for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny and Jeff. Childhood friends are everlasting, and so I have the pleasure now to invite Scott to come forward to deliver his tribute to his best mate from their childhood. There's no step there.
Oh my goodness, what to say about Andrew. What a character and what a friend. I've tried to comfort myself with what Andrew would think, how he'd like us to handle the situation. Right now he'd probably be saying to me, Mitch, you're going to stuff this, you're going to stuff it. But that's what he'd do. He had that ability to be serious when it was required and unserious when it was more needed. He just had that knack that no one else had. He'd be pleased to see this turn out. He wouldn't be that surprised. He must have known how many lives he impacted and enriched, and would be thankful of the support you're providing to him and to his family and one another. I don't really need to explain to you what Andrew was like. We all have our own memories of Andrew. No matter what relationship you had with him, you knew you were lucky to know him. Everything was done with energy, humour, and that is what has made the last month so hard. However, I look around and see his spirit will live on with his family and his friends. You've got to have a crack, don't you? That's what he would say to me, and I don't think anyone epitomised that more than him. I first met Andrew in about 1983, Year 5 D. La Salle Reesby. It would have been through one of our good friends, Chris Watson, who I think went to primary school with him at St Christopher's. I think they also played junior cricket with one another. Oddly enough, in the 7 years I was at school, I don't recall being in any classes with him, but I'd catch up in the playground and hear the stories of what he'd get up to in each class. It was a long time ago, my memory isn't what it used to be, but on the school Facebook page the last few weeks it's confirmed what I suspected. Names that I haven't considered for years had a common theme: thanks Andrew for the laughs, your wit and the good times. And looking back, Andrew has never fundamentally changed from this. His focus for the good in his life, family, friends and business, may have evolved and sharpened, but underneath he was the same person from all those years ago. And I think that's what set him up for success. The AITKEN family was incredibly good to me through the years. I was invited over for Christmas lunch each year. It was also good to see his extended family as well. How good was it being a teen hanging out with your best mate on Christmas Day? I remember one year he'd got a one-iron from, I think, Mr. Aiken for Christmas that he was pretty excited about. They had that nice Henry Lawson house overlooking the river. He said to me, "Mitch, see that boat down there, about 200 metres away? Let's see if we can hit it." So we stood on the back lawn and I can't recall how many shots we had at it, and I'm not sure where the balls came from, but I suspect they were Mr. Aiken's. And ideas, man. Saturday night he said to Chris and myself, "Let's get a case of beer, come here to Bankstown Golf Club and play cards." "Yeah, not sure we can do that. We're only 16. Plus it doesn't sound that good." Years 11 and 12 at Benilde, Andrew had his ups and downs. Social life up and academically down. The temptation of Nazarenes next door had proved too much. I recall at the time he'd drive in his dad's new EA Falcon, Big Pig blaring on the cassette deck, wearing his Brooks Rules Are Meant to Be Broken t-shirt. When Andrew got his results, it was clear it was way unders for as intelligent he would prove to be, but to be honest, at the time it seemed touch and go. He weighed up his options and he said to me, "Mate, I might have to do nursing." I said, "What?" I said, "You'll be able to handle the sight of an open scratch." Mr. Aiken read him the riot act from memory. A plan was put in place for him to get into a course to help him to do a commerce degree, and from there he was off and running. From then to now, how could I possibly cover off what he achieved or organised was part of? I won't attempt to, it would be an exhausting list and I'd miss half of it. Andrew was the conduit to a lot of the long-lasting friendships I have today and the hub of some of my best memories over the 30 plus years. And I'm sure he's the same for a lot of you. He was the driving force behind what we often did and he loved it. We were lucky to get a fair piece of him during this time while he was building a family with Nikki, career and business. Just a couple, St Christopher's Cricket, the Bankstown Bombers, Foster trips with Richo and Pete, fortnightly golf with Rob Keeling and The Rock, Adelaide Cricket, that was just some of them. Also the overseas trips, I think I went to a British Open with him, a US Open, Lord's Ashes, that was just to name a few. And I know many of you shared plenty of these experiences with him, similar and more. He loved spending time with his families and friends and creating experiences with them. He had his own family challenges that he helped everyone within the family with bravely, and he was always a great support to me. I heard a story recently of a friend of ours who was experiencing a difficult time when he himself was going through his own personal issues, Andrew, and he put time aside to be with him. I recall he came to my father's scattering the ashes up on the Tweed coast in the Tweed River about 14 years ago. He took time off work and came up for the day, which was a great support. I recall he came straight from Sydney, but I must have given him the dress code. On the Tweed coast, I think the dress code's sort of open-toe shoes, and if sleeves are an option. But he held court in the pub, and everyone found great comfort from the way he conducted and handled that situation that day, and was a great comfort to all of us. I thought for a while he'd managed to crack the code to a happy life to a large extent. I'm sure the last 10 years is the happiest he's ever been here in Tamworth. His focus was family, not just immediate but extended, and the hard work and relationships he built for the past 20 years could fund time to spend with his family and friends to do the things he loved. And as I said before, he just did this by being himself. All those qualities he possessed, people wanted to gravitate to and engage with. Andrew loved his toys, but he was never sentimental about them. They were nice things to have, and I don't think he spent too much emotional energy with them. He used that energy to spend with the things that mattered. He left the trivial things to the rest of us. Andrew was fluid, never idle, and frustrating at times. I'll miss his calls when he used to say, "Mitch, I'm up in Brisbane for work next week. Can you play golf Thursday? Actually, maybe Tuesday. I'll get back to you." Oh, the one that still makes me laugh was when he said, "Mate, I'm driving up from work tomorrow. If I leave my car at your place, can you sell it for me?" He explained his logic that Brisbane was a bigger market than Tamworth and he'd get a better price up here in Brisbane. It was a shame that it was full of gravel, red dust, and drove like a shopping trolley when I eventually tried to sell it. Jamie, Samuel and I were lucky to come into Tamworth in July for 4 days. Unfortunately for us, the children were away. I remember when we drove back home thinking what a great time we had. Great in its simplicity of spending time in Andrew and Nikki's company. Andrew cooked for us, we drank red wine and watched the football, and the girls watched the netball. 3 air fryers, the secret to his great lamb roast. I've heard this come up a couple of times. He gave my son a tip on what to have with his dumplings and bought him some sauce to take home. 9 weeks ago, probably today, on a Friday, we came here to the race course to come to the races for a couple of hours. A couple of beers in the winter sun. I think we even got a couple of local winners between us. I remember Andrew standing there looking agitated at me, and I said to him, "My shout?" You know what his response was. Saturday we played golf at Tamworth Golf Club. Silly early, cold. I'm barely functioning, but he was always ready to go. Early he's off chatting with a playing partner about his work, industry, those sorts of things. That's what he did, talk to people. I'd seen it many times before. I'd get the odd, "Mitch, well that's shite. I can't believe that you've only been charged $28 to play here at the members rate, and when I go to your course it's $90. At the end he said, "Put your clubs in the car and I'll get us a coffee." I said to him, "Have you got the keys?" He said, "They're already in the car." I said, "What?" He said, "Mate, who's going to steal it?" That was classic Andrew. He gave me that same look that you can see now. After all these years, how could he continue not to surprise me? Jamie will not mind me saying that she has her issues now, and he was a perfect host as always, assisting and making us feel most comfortable while we're here. Anyway, you'd probably be thinking, "Mitch, you've got your own issues and I've been helping you for the whole of your life." And to be fair, he'd probably be correct about that. You've got to have a crack. If we live by that, he will be pleased. I'll miss him terribly, probably more than I know right now. Forever in our thoughts, mate. Love you. I'll see you again someday.
Thanks, Scott. Bryce is in the finance industry, as was Andrew. They've been friends for 25 years or more, and so now I invite you, Bryce, to come forward to deliver your tribute to your friend.
Hi everyone, my name's Bryce Doherty, and I've been part of the financial industry for many years, and along the way I was very fortunate to be a good friend of Andrew's. Nikki very kindly has asked both Andrew Hungerford and myself to share a few words today on behalf of Andrew's other family, the finance industry. Hungerford sadly can't be here today, but he has asked me to pass on his love, respect, and to say how much Andrew meant to all of us. Many of you will remember that Andrew was the convener and self-appointed chair of more than a few informal industry groups. FOC, DBAC, Bondi Super, FC Flyers, plenty of others. I won't share the definitions of any of these acronyms here, or the membership, but only Andrew could take a casual catch-up over a lunch at Wong's or a beer at the Occidental or at Garden State and turn it into something that brought people together. He helped people share information, he created friendships all across our industry. That was Andrew. He was always connecting, he was always building community, and he was always doing it with that same look on his face. Andrew's career spanned more than 30 years, and it took him from Sydney to London and eventually to what he liked to call the centre of global finance, Tamworth. He started at BT, where, as many of you know, he also met Nikki, and even back then it was clear that Andrew had a rare mix of warmth and ability that would set him apart. After stints at Aberdeen, IOOF and others, he joined Ausbil, and he helped drive significant sales at a time when boutique funds management was just starting to take off in Australia. Later at Bennelong, he became one of the key contributors in building what turned out to be one of the great boutique success stories in Australia, growing the business from basically a start-up into one that manages more than $8 billion today. Many of the Bennelong alumni, past and present, are here today or tuning in from Melbourne or Sydney. Andrew also had stints as head of distribution at the ASX-listed Associated Global Partners and also QVG Capital. But without a doubt, his proudest professional achievement was founding Daruka Capital Partners, named after that famous suburb of Tamworth. Moving to Tamworth did nothing to blunt Andrew's influence on the finance industry. With that cheeky grin of his, he'd pick up the phone and say, "Daruka Capital Centre of Excellence, how can I help?" Through Daruka, Andrew didn't just build a business, he built opportunities for others as well. He gave people the chance to work for themselves. He nudged more than a few back on track, and in some cases he even saved careers by providing a place to land, whether temporarily or permanently. That generosity of spirit paired with his business acumen has left a legacy well beyond his own success. What made Andrew so special wasn't just the results, it was how he went about achieving those results. His humour was his hallmark, dry, self-deprecating, always perfectly timed. And in true Andrew style, he combined sensitivity with sarcasm, wisdom with an eye roll, and more than once some appalling dress sense, which of course he carried off with complete indifference to what other people thought. His catchphrases became part of the legend. What's the worst thing that could happen? Always said when something was clearly a terrible idea. And surely that's a private matter. Rolled out whenever an industry or a public figure was finding themselves in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, yours truly included. Behind the humour, Andrew was brilliant, both in terms of IQ and EQ. He could take something that was very complex and explain it so that even the most basic salesperson could understand what he was talking about. He was calm in a crisis, he was utterly dependable, and he was the one that you wanted in your corner. He was also the first to call or the first to show up when something went wrong, and that's what made him more than respected. It really made him loved. Everyone loved Andrew, colleagues, clients, even competitors. He didn't just earn respect, he earned friendships, and that was his true gift. Of course, his greatest pride wasn't in the finance industry at all. It was home with Nikki and Will, Tom, Charlotte, and also with Jack, who always remained very close to Andrew's heart. If you wanted to see Andrew at his happiest, you only had to see him with Nikki and the kids. The breadth and the depth of Andrew's industry network is on full display here today. It's here in the room. It's also on Collins Street in Melbourne, where people have gathered at the boardroom of Copia Investments to say their farewells. It's with colleagues who are tuning in from Briarwood Partners in Abu Dhabi and London. So many others are tuning in from across Australia and around the world, all mourning the passing of a great friend, a great colleague, and a great man. Like many of you, and like's been said up here today, I'll miss the random calls from the car. Sometimes monthly, sometimes weekly, often daily. And those calls were simply to discuss things of importance or just to put shit on me. And they'd often be interrupted by, "Welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order?" So on behalf of all of us in the finance industry, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for your wisdom, your integrity, your friendship, and above all, your humour. He leaves a gap that can't be filled, but his laughter and his legacy will stay with us forever. So see you later, AITKEN, AA, Freckles, mate, Vale Andrew AITKEN.
Thank you, Bryce. When our children commence their education, it's not unusual for parents to become friends. Andrew Richards is one such friend. A friendship formed when the children started school in Sydney. And so now I invite you, Andrew, to come forward to give your tribute to Andrew.
It's so difficult to accept that we're here farewelling AA. AA of all people. I still can't get my head around it. I keep expecting to get a phone call or a text, and I keep wanting to send him something stupid or abusive. This thing here just doesn't suit him at all. He should be leading the jokes and setting the tone, as he always did. He'd be so pissed off too that I've got a chance to speak about him, and he's got no right of reply. I met Andrew through our boys being in the same class at the small local Catholic school where our boys went. My wife had mentioned that she thought I'd like Nikki's husband up the road, but it took an inappropriate imitation of Ricky Ponting at a 7-year-old cricket trial to really wake me up. A pub meal and several beers later, we realised that we both love golf, cricket, any kind of sport, saying things that weren't allowed, generally putting shit on each other and sparring verbally. After abusing me for being a fat whatever, he decided that we should train and get fit. He brought in 2 other blokes, James and Marcus, and proceeded to meld a foursome, which has endured ever since and grown stronger, despite all the ups and downs of life. AA loved bringing people together. He was so good at it, as you've heard, and it's been such a blessing. There were camping trips, barbecues, dinners, drinks, you name it. I remember Nikki getting so annoyed one night trying to organise something for her own family. AA was on the phone asking us to go. "Can't you do anything without your bum chum?" she said. And so we got the name for our WhatsApp group, the Bum Chums. But it wasn't just a group of dads. I've often reflected on how much fun my kids had in primary school. Old style, uncomplicated, Aussie fun. AA asked us all on his traditional family holiday to Port Macquarie, and that also became a cherished tradition for us. The parenting wasn't always ideal. Who can forget a table of 15 pre-teens cheering whenever the number 69 came up on a Keno monitor in the Port City Bolo? Or AA sitting on the horn, middle finger extended out the window at midnight as he drove away from a 10-hour barbecue with a car full of kids. Or 3-year-old non-swimmer Paddy Gaddis swimming up at the waterhole at Bundeena with 8-year-old kids because the dads were too hungover to get out of their tents. Not really out of the Steve Biddulph handbook, but our kids survived and they learnt the right stuff. The importance of friendship, acceptance and love, and how the most valuable things were the simple things which money can't buy. These families feel like an extended family unit and the kids are so comfortable with each other. AA created all that. It was and is such a gift. As Will neared high school, the family moved to Tamworth. Great for them, rubbish for me. Selfishly, I thought I'd made this great friend and I wasn't going to see him anymore, but that wasn't to be the case. AA was great at keeping up. We saw each other a bit less often, but we did better stuff. At least 2 golf trips a year, in recent years with our boys as well. The Port Macquarie and then Mooloolaba Easter trips continued, and so on. In fact, because it wasn't always a party, we talked more. He was always super quick, funny, interesting, had a new perspective, and wouldn't hesitate to tell me I was an idiot. I had here a few facts that you might not know about AA, but most of them you do now know. I was going to talk about his extraordinary hand-eye coordination. You've heard he was a fantastic junior cricketer. I used to generously call him the Steve Waugh without work ethic, which always successfully pushed his buttons. In golf, he was just annoying. I've never seen a more natural ball striker, and I have no concept of how you maintain a perfect technique and a handicap of 2 or 3 while never doing any practice and just not giving a shit. More well known and mentioned repeatedly today was that AA was an inveterate smartass. I was often the butt of this, but from insisting that the AITKENs were voting yes in the gay marriage plebiscite so his 10-year-old son Tommy could get married later on, to endless ribbing of Nikki about her fondness for a bargain. He was the last of the great Aussie larrikins, and I mean that in the best possible way. AA couldn't care less about money. Totally unpretentious, he was utterly unimpressed by wealth, and I don't think I ever really heard him talk about it at all. You could almost think he was only in financial services for the long lunches. AA was great at a party, a huge personality, and the most charismatic guy in the room. But you don't pack out Tamworth Racecourse for that. In his interactions with people, I often saw how he'd try to find the interesting or unique in a person. Shy people are the best, he'd say. And he had a fundamentally compassionate outlook on life. He'd always rather make excuses for someone than join in a pile-on. He also did small, subtle things to help people. For my family, he gave practical, generous, thoughtful assistance, which was not asked for with no expectation of thanks or credit. He just wanted to do it, and I've heard that from so many people over the last few weeks. In our grief is the consolation of celebrating a life well lived. You often hear or read about people, especially blokes, who haven't spent enough time with their family. Not AA. I've never seen a father more joyfully involved with his kids' lives. He loved more than anything spending time with his family. The happiest I ever saw him was in a car overflowing with kids, family and friends, going to putt-putt golf or going to Macca's or going to golf. He'd be holding court, saying really inappropriate stuff and carrying on. This closeness, of course, makes today so much harder, but I'm sure it will be a treasured memory forever. Despite coming from a devout Catholic family, whose values he often mentioned when an ethical or controversial question came up, AA was not big on organised religion. I can hear him saying now, "Oh no, Richo's going to bring out the wizard." But the way AA lived his life is really what we're called to do by any religion, code of ethics or whatever. We're asked to be hopeful and positive, to make the world a better place, to bring sunshine into other people's lives, to be compassionate and to spread love. I cannot think of anyone who did that better. AA, I give thanks for the wonderful gift of your friendship. That day up at junior cricket, the sun of good fortune certainly smiled brightly on me. It's been so much fun, and I've learnt so much too. We will look after those you've left behind. I know that's what you'd hate the most, how heartbreaking this is, especially for the family you love so much. Nikki, Will, Tom, Charlotte, the Aitken and Taylor family, we love you. AA, keep the beers cold, the wit sharp and some hot topics ready for debate. One day we'll meet again, and if it turns out like the first time, there'll be a magic journey ahead.
Thank you, Andrew. Family and friends, I am aware that you did not have the opportunity to say your goodbye to Andrew in person. Let us all take this time to view his story through the photos put together and give yourselves a moment to think about him. And we'll do this to 3 pieces of music today. The first one is Better Be Home Soon by Crowded House, followed by Wherever You Will Go from The Calling, and the final one, very appropriate, The Best by Tina Turner.
Somewhere deep inside, something's got a hold on you, and it's pushing me aside. See it stretch on forever, and I know I'm right for the first time in my life. That's why I tell you, you'd better be home soon. Stripping back the coats of lies and deception, back to nothingness, like a week in the desert. And I know I'm right for the first time in my life. That's why I tell you, you'd better be home soon. Don't say no, don't say nothing's wrong. When you get back home, maybe I'll be gone. It would cause me pain if we were to end it, but I could start again. You can depend on it, and I know I'm right for the first time in days when I'm gone. You'll need love to light the shadows on your face. If a great wave shall fall and fall upon us all, then between the sand and stone, could you make it on your own? If I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you will go, way up high or down low. I'll go wherever you will go, and maybe I'll find out a way to make it back someday, to want you, to guide you through the darkest of your days. If a great wave shall fall and fall upon us all, well, then I hope there's someone out there who can bring me back to you. If I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you will go, way up high or down low. I'll go wherever you will go. Run away with my heart, run away with my hope, run away with my love. I know now just quite how my life and love might still go on. In your heart, in your mind, I'll stay with you for all time. If I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you will go, way up high or down low. I'll go wherever you will go. If I could turn back time, I'll go wherever you will go. If I could make
Fabulous memories to have. As we've heard, family is an important part of the AITKEN family, of their lives, and a friendship is so often formed with the in-laws. Sometimes it's not, but in this case it is. Roger is not only a best mate, but Andrew's brother-in-law. So Roger has written his tribute for Andrew and has asked that I deliver it on his behalf. And so I read. Hello everyone, my name is Roger Couples, Andrew's brother-in-law. I feel incredibly honoured to speak about my best mate, Andrew. Our friendship began 27 years ago in the UK, when we set off on an overseas adventure together with Nikki, Joe and Francine. And from that moment on, there was never a dull moment in our mateship. In all those years, we never had a single argument or falling out. You could say we shared the perfect romance. Andrew and I were always learning from each other, and one of the most valuable lessons he taught me was to stress less and enjoy life more, something he truly lived by. Andrew never took life too seriously. He was a big kid at heart, the kind of man who could make you laugh even when everything seemed to be falling apart. He lived life to the fullest and had packed more into his life than most of us sitting here today. Whenever he was feeling down or having a bad hair day, I would always repeat two phrases to Andrew that my dearly beloved grandfather would say to me. Andrew, there are more good days than bad, and more good people than bad in this world. Andrew was a human magnet who drew good people in and always made time for everyone. Just look around today. This gathering is a true testament to the kind of person he was and his amazing family. I'm so proud of you, mate, for the devoted husband you were to Nikki and the loving, heroic dad you were to Will, Tom, Charlotte and Jack. And I promise you this, I will always be there for Nikki and the kids. Always. And I think if there is one thing that we can all take away from Andrew's tragic passing is how important it is to live for the moment. So don't put off that trip. Stop waiting for life to begin. Stay up late with friends. Get up early to watch the sunrise. Spend time with those that you love and tell them how you feel, because tomorrow is not a given. My dearest mate, I am forever grateful for the day we met and for every memory we created over the past 27 years. The world has lost a truly incredible person, one of life's greatest showmen. And while I did manage to teach you one thing, to always be early or on time when meeting me, this time, mate, you weren't meant to leave us so early. Goodbye, my brother. I will never, ever forget you. Thank you, Roger. Nikki, Will and Charlotte, thank you for your presence here today, and to those viewing via the live stream. Your love, messages of condolence and flowers have been greatly appreciated, along with your support. Thank you also to Sean Hamilton Funerals for their empathy and care shown to Andrew and his family during this most difficult time. In appreciation, Andrew's family invite you to join them in the reception room following the service to share the many memories and stories you have. It may very well be a long night. Nikki had requested a guard of honour be formed following the service this afternoon from outside to the hearse at the front gates, where you will be able to bid a final farewell to Andrew. And when it's time to do that, I will let you know. I invite you now to join with me in saying the Lord's Prayer if you wish. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Family and friends, we came together a short while ago to celebrate the life of your husband, father, son, and friend. We have heard Andrew's story and the many tributes and viewed his life through the photographic journey. Because someone we love is in heaven, there is a little piece of heaven in our home. Although they have left this earth, we are not sad. Instead, we smile because we know all of the happiness and joy they brought into our lives, and that will live with us forever. They may have left this earth, but they will never leave your heart. Please stand for our words of farewell if you are able. And if I may, I would like to speak to Andrew. Andrew, if every single person who has liked you in your lifetime were to light up on a map, it would create the most glitteringly beautiful network you could imagine. Throw in the strangers you've made laugh or inspired along the way, and that star-bright network of you would be an impressive sight to behold. You're so much more than you think you are. You have done so much more than you realise. You're trailing a bright pathway that you don't even know about. You will be missed by your family and friends. However, the memories you have left behind will remain with them forever. We leave you now to rest and to continue on your final journey, where you will be privately cremated. Andrew Scott Aitken, may you rest in eternal peace. You will now be welcomed home by your son Jack and sister Danielle, who have been waiting for you to return home. Shortly, family and friends will ask you if you would like to form the Guard of Honour. If you form that at the very back, but outside and up towards where the hearse is standing. And now I'll leave you with just these few words. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. Andrew is and will always be a big part of your family, your friend circle. Death can't change that. Hold on to all those memories that you have of him, and he will always be in your hearts. And so now, if you'd like to form the Guard of Honour, please feel free to do so. Thank you all.
to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the magpie's name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
Flamingos walk and sway in peace. Seeing this, it makes my trouble cease. The sun is hiding, leaving a pink scar that stretches right across the sky. That's all we've seen so far. And all I do is look into your eyes.